Imagine thirsting over a guy from a dark fanfiction, and you sleep knowing you're gonna goon for another day. But the very next day, you suddenly have the opportunity to crack that same guy. So with your dark romance novels hidden from public viewing, let's begin our recap. The manhwa opens with someone calling out to Ruin, reminding her that she is barely surviving, living a day-to-day life, and earning just enough to eat. A long list of restrictions prevents her from entering the capital. Without hesitation, she leaps forward and slays a stupid monster. Her name is Rain, a monster hunter. Once, she was Park Yeon, an ordinary person from South Korea. That was 3 years ago. Now she cries inwardly, questioning what in the world she is supposed to do in this place. Even if she is here, she cannot see her favorite character, and she wonders in frustration why she has ended up in such a world. Rain has, in fact, been transmigrated into the world of a noble-themed novel she had once read. Readers of books, she reflects, can be divided into several kinds: those who focus mainly on the story, those who care about the world building, and those who pay attention only to appearances. She was the last type, completely captivated by the beauty of the hero. She had endured the tragic plotline just because of him. His name is Lucas, the male protagonist of the novel, the crown prince of this world. Lucas does everything in his power to win the heart of the Duke's daughter. Though his methods are far from ordinary, he takes the unconventional approach of subtly dealing with the people the heroine loves, breaking her down, and then winning her heart by comforting her from the pain he caused. In short, he is rather trash, but even so, he is undeniably handsome. Rain wonders what it would feel like to see Lucas in person. He must be unbelievably striking. She regrets not making it clear back then that her words about wanting to see him were not meant literally. She never wanted to come into this world herself. At the Adventurers Guild, she stands before the receptionist, listening with growing irritation as he states the price 3 gold in total. He reminds her, with a smug sense of authority, that this place is a monster accessory transaction center, operated by the Imperial Palace, and that she should refrain from using such vulgar language. Rain slams the horn onto the counter, thinking bitterly that after 3 long weeks of risking her life, all she will get is 3 gold. It feels like an insult. The man calmly explains that the number of monster hunters has recently tripled, and that those who bring back first-grade monster parts without a single scratch have increased 6-fold. Rain clenches her jaw, thinking how ridiculous this is. At this rate, anyone could sell one of these horns for at least 3 gold on the black market. Yet the man snaps back that the black market is illegal, and that no matter how high grade the item may be, the horns of these beasts are currently oversupplied, so their price is inevitably low. Rain can't help but laugh bitterly. His reasoning is almost impressive in how dog-like it sounds. She reflects that, according to his logic, the price of monster parts depends on demand rather than danger. If that's the case, then the price of idle leather should increase 5-fold since it's widely used and highly demanded. After all, it's easy to catch and profitable, so why should anyone bother risking their life fighting first-grade monsters? She pauses, questioning whether she might be wrong, but the man's lack of response confirms what she already knows. Leaning forward, she fixes him with a sharp gaze, calling his name Kevin, and he immediately straightens up in nervous acknowledgement. Her tone turns dangerous as she warns him. Most inhabitants of this place, she thinks, are ignorant fools who only know how to fight and scam others. If he dares to try ripping her off again, she will show him what a true monster looks like. And as the guild falls silent around her, Rain once Park Yeon, now a fierce monster hunter trapped in the world of a novel, stands her ground, radiating the kind of menace that even beasts might fear. Rain asks again, demanding to know how much she will actually receive for the horn. The receptionist, finally giving in, informs her that she will get 7 gold. With a satisfied smile, she accepts the amount, her earlier irritation melting into triumph. Leaving the counter, she thinks to herself that perhaps this place isn't so bad after all, and remarks that she should visit here again before cheerfully bidding farewell. Outside, someone calls out to her. It's Sam, a fellow monster hunter, and one of the few people she interacts with regularly. He approaches with curiosity and asks how much she earned this time. When she casually replies that she received 7 gold, his eyes widen in disbelief. He exclaims that he only got 3 gold for the same type of monster. Rain shrugs, noting that it's because he simply accepts whatever price they give him. Sam frowns, muttering that even if she is registered under the Imperial Palace's guild, 7 gold seems excessive. Rain can't help but scoff at his comment. What's so great about being connected to the imperial palace anyway? She finds it absurd that people divide themselves into nobles and commoners purely based on birth and lineage. If he wants to be treated differently, she thinks sharply, then maybe he should go join the border patrol. Perhaps when the country gets ransacked by monsters one day, it will finally come to its senses. She reminds him that the imperial palace is protected by divine blessings so strong that even a single strand of hair cannot be touched by monsters. If that's the case, then maybe those pampered nobles should go fight barehanded and tame the beasts themselves. Her frustration deepens as she reflects on her situation. She can't even enter the capital to see her favorite, the man she admired so dearly from the novel. The thought alone makes her heart ache. If this continues, she's convinced she'll die of a broken heart. Yet, with a self-deprecating laugh, she admits inwardly that she's foolish enough to keep going anyway. Perhaps she'll survive just to admire another pretty face. Sam, confused by her sudden shift in tone, asks what she means, but she brushes him off, saying that he doesn't need to know. She's in a bad mood, and plans to lift her spirits by going home and eating meat. With that, she waves him off and walks away, leaving him standing in bewilderment. He sighs quietly, thinking that she has always been like this. Impossible to read, unpredictable, and entirely her own person. They've worked together for 3 years now, and yet he still has no idea what truly goes on in her head. Meanwhile, within the grand halls of the imperial palace, a different conversation unfolds. A court official approaches the crown prince and respectfully asks if he called for him. The prince, his expression unreadable, nods and orders that Duke Winterlock be summoned. He has a task for him, one that will soon set things in motion. Rain's memories drift back to her past life. She recalls the days when she lay feverish in her cramped one-room apartment, her body burning with heat, and her mind clouded in confusion. She remembers the dry, scorching breath escaping her lips as she tried over and over to regain consciousness. Then, finally, she opened her eyes. What she saw first was an unfamiliar ceiling, aged and wooden, and beside her stood an old man with a worried face. He asked softly if she had come to her senses. Startled, she blinked several times, realizing this was not her apartment. Everything looked strange: the bed, the walls, even the faint scent of earth in the air. The old man, bald-headed and dressed in worn clothes, explained that he had been worried because she hadn't been seen for 3 days. He thought she might have been eaten by a monster. The word monster rang oddly in her ears, familiar yet foreign, as if plucked from the pages of fiction. She knew that word, but it didn't belong in her reality. Ignoring his advice to rest, she stumbled out of bed, panic surging through her veins. This couldn't be real. There was no way, no possible way, that she was inside the world of the novel. Yet as her eyes darted around the small, rustic room, the truth became undeniable. The air felt different, the clothes on her body weren't hers, and even the language slipping from her tongue wasn't Korean. Desperate to deny it, she ran outside, the old man calling after her. But no matter where she looked, everything matched the story she once read. And in that moment, Rain knew the impossible had happened. She had been thrown into the very world of the novel she once obsessed over. The tragic tale of Lucas, the crown prince she adored. When she sees the monster standing right in front of her, growling with a low, menacing rumble, her entire body stiffens. For a moment, she wonders what the hell it even is. The creature lunges at her, shoving her back with brutal force, and pain shoots through her body. That pain assures her it's real. This isn't some twisted dream or virtual illusion. She's in a place where reality hurts. Her mind races, desperate to do something, anything, to stop that thing. Then her eyes catch sight of a spear lying nearby, glinting faintly under the light. Without thinking, she snatches it up. Her gaze flickers between the monster and its massive, heaving chest, and before fear can paralyze her, instinct takes over. She drives the spear straight through the creature. The impact reverberates up her arms as warm blood splatters across her face. When the monster collapses, she catches her reflection in the crimson pool forming beneath it. The face staring back at her feels unfamiliar. She wonders, who is she, really? That's when Sam and the old man come rushing toward her, shouting, their expressions etched with shock and worry. They ask if she's all right, but her mind is elsewhere, spinning in chaos. She grabs Sam's arm, her voice shaking, as she demands to know the name of the crown prince. Sam hesitates, startled by her tone, until Sam intervenes and tells her to calm down before revealing the name Lucas. At that moment, her whole body freezes. The spear slips slightly from her grasp as disbelief floods her. Lucas? That name alone makes her feel as if the world has tilted off its axis. She mutters that it can't be. That arrogant, pretty trash. Sam gapes at her, clearly alarmed by her outburst, and warns her that calling the crown prince such words is enough to get her executed. Monster hunts are dangerous enough, he reminds her. Disrespecting the crown prince is a death wish. But Rain isn't listening anymore. Lucas only existed in the game, not in reality. No matter how she looks at it, none of this makes sense. Is she losing her mind? She didn't want to believe it, but everything fits too well. This is the world of the novel. She thinks bitterly that if fate had to play tricks on her, it could have at least possessed her as someone from the Imperial Palace, maybe even one of Lucas's admirers. Instead, she's been thrown into the body of someone who doesn't even appear in the story. She wonders who that man, Sam, really is. The villagers claim they know nothing about him, which only deepens her frustration. Her future here already feels ruined. Rain clenches her fist and slams it against the wall, her knuckles throbbing. If Lucas truly exists in this world, then she'll find him, no matter how long it takes. She'll wait for him, even if it means fighting through the nightmare she's been thrown into. No matter how skilled a hunter may be, none can face monsters alone. Every creature bears its own peculiar power, and most attack in coordinated packs. In lands without noble families strong enough to subdue them, monster hunters have long taken it upon themselves to defend their homes and loved ones. On the western border, it has become almost a way of life, a shared duty where hunters protect each other's backs and fight as one. Once again, Rain has caught the attention of those around her. Whispers spread across the camp. She has slain her first great monster on her own. Someone remarks that if she truly managed to defeat such a creature, her rank must be high. But Rain, brushing the dust from her hands, admits she has no idea what her grade even is. She had simply grabbed an axe and struck until the thing stopped moving. Now, in the present, she exhales sharply, wondering why everyone around here speaks in such a strange way. As she's lost in thought, someone calls out, summoning her to join the next fight. She would rather keep her head down. Drawing attention only makes things harder. So she moves alone, hoping to stay unnoticed. But that decision backfires. Who could have known that such a ridiculous Rule 1 that forbids solitary hunting would come into effect? After that, a new rule comes down. Only those who have defeated a drain alone may hunt unaccompanied in the untamed forest. Rain cannot believe her ears when the old man repeats it. The notion strikes her as absurd. She approaches him afterward and offers a clumsy apology for her earlier outburst, then half-jokingly begs him to sprinkle a spoonful of regression over the whole situation, to rewind what happened and make it less humiliating. The old man snaps at her instead, furious that she apparently refuses to heed his words. His anger jars her, but she tells herself to calm down. After all, he is only a man, flawed and fallible, not something she must cleave into. He presses the point, accusing her of cowardice. From the way he prowls and sneers, it is clear he once ran with rougher crowds, a city thug who drifted out here, chasing the rumor that monster hunting pays well. Rain exhales and, to his face, admits he is partly right. She concedes that she could not, as he crudely puts it, take an idol's head. She cannot claim some grand rank by accident, but she insists she ought to be allowed to prove herself and enter the forest alone. The man scoffs, arguing that the forest belongs to no one and that anyone can go if they dare. He calls the whole idea of beating a person to gain permission a ridiculous notion. When she suggests he simply go and prove it for himself, he laughs. The man laughs louder still, amused by the naive bravado. Their exchange slides into easy mockery. The man thanks Rain with a dry, theatrical gratitude and announces he will go, then vanishes into the dusk as if to prove his point. Left alone, Rain watches him go and mutters that he is a fool. If the man truly believes he can survive the untamed wood by himself, he will learn otherwise soon enough. Sam's warning echoes from behind her. If anyone enters the forest alone, they risk death, plain and simple. Rain shrugs inwardly. Stupid people, she thinks, never listen to warnings. It is kinder, she judges, to see them off with politeness than to waste hope on changing them. Besides, his face was never to her taste. That night she strolls beneath a sky gone black with stars, replaying the day's events. Yet the village chief waits for her at the edge of the square, not gone at all. He greets her with a wry remark about long absences. She retorts that it has not been that long, given how often the cuckoos, Gleason's messengers, have been sent her way. The chief's smile fades into seriousness. He tells her he has come on weightier business. Rain studies him, puzzled by the sudden shift. He speaks plainly now. Another monster circles the mansion of the Baron, a flying thing that has grown bold enough to menace the noble's household. She promises, without hesitation, that the matter will be handled, that she will do everything required to resolve it, and that the chief need not offer coin for the favor. Still, her tone carries an edge. Let the old rule be swept away instead of paid. The chief calling her name as though the moment requires ceremony. And finally he delivers the oddest request of all. He asks her, in earnest, not to hunt monsters, not. At the Imperial Palace, the Duke offers a formal apology to Lucas for his absence from the council meeting, citing pressing personal reasons. Lucas accepts the apology, but still carries the shadow of recent loss. He mourns the death of a close friend. Beneath the politeness, however, entrusts Lucas with the task of compiling a new monster encyclopedia. The current volume, while thorough in cataloging monster types, traits, and habits, is fatally incomplete. It provides no reliable extermination method. Lucas recognizes the urgency. The capital may have been spared by divine fortune, but those who live beyond the city walls continue to suffer. Time cannot be squandered. The Duke frames the charge as an order. Lucas is to uncover the extermination techniques for every monster troubling the western border, and to finish the encyclopedia. He receives the Duke's trust, as well as his command. Word of the mission ripples outward. A nobleman from the capital, accompanied by his knight, is en route to the borderlands to assist with monster research, joining forces with the border guards. The news unsettles the village. The Baron's household, already in turmoil, braces for visitors who mean to study the threat firsthand. Rain listens as the villagers debate the newcomers' motives. She wonders why men from the capital would come all this way. The chief's answer is blunt. Few would risk their lives for a pittance. Hunters do not volunteer for charity. And where monster densities are high, where first-rate beasts roam, relocation is no guarantee of safety. People will die if those monsters are stirred. They do not march willingly into slaughter. That is the naked calculus behind the novel's power struggles. Still, the chief places a cautious hope in the Baron's influence. He believes the Baron can coordinate with the visiting nobleman, and that the nobleman will appoint a local guide to lead him through the village and into the wilds. If Rain becomes that guide, she will be expected to act as a shield-bearer, an honored, dangerous role. The thought of losing such talent to the capital troubles the chief. Rain's skill is valuable and would be sorely missed. Rain questions why anyone would fear being chosen, convinced no one will step forward. Then rumor reaches them that the capital will pay handsomely. The promise of coin pricks, even Rain's resolve. Temptation stirs. The conclusion is obvious and uneasy. She must be careful not to hunt monsters ostentatiously before the visiting noble. He cannot bear the thought of letting a hunter of her caliber be taken away. Rain exhales, her expression torn between resignation and mischief. They are offering a fortune after all. With her skill, she feels confident she could survive as either a guide or a shield-bearer. What reason does she have to stay in a village like this? The old man, ever cunning, counters with his own proposal, a 50% increase in commission, and the abolition of the rule that has been tormenting her. The offer stops her short. Faced with that, her decision is instant. Of course she will stay. The old man beams at the success of his persuasion, rising from his seat with self-satisfaction. He declares the negotiation settled and takes his leave, wishing her a good night as he goes. When the door closes behind him, Rain remains seated in the quiet room, muttering that she'll do well the moment she's given the chance. If she quits, maybe he really will raise her pay, just like her old boss had promised before she left her previous job. Still, her thoughts wander toward the nobleman said to be coming, a high-born figure, tangled in power struggles, traveling all the way to the borderlands to conduct monster research himself. It sounds absurdly familiar. She recalls a similar event in the novel, one that turned out to be part of Lucas's cunning scheme. For a fleeting moment, she tries to remember who that character was, but the details blur. It hardly matters. She cannot bring herself to care. Lucas, her supposed favorite, is nowhere in sight. She sighs wistfully, thinking how perfect it would be if a handsome man simply fell from the sky into her life. But this world never grants such indulgent wishes. A few days later, the Duke and his knight draw near to the town. The knight remarks that they will soon reach the village, and questions whether the Duke truly intends to select only one hunter as their guide. The Duke confirms it. The knight, uneasy, argues that it would be wiser to take several people, just in case of emergencies. Even if tradition dictates one guide, sharing the burden would make sense. The Duke listens quietly as the road narrows, and the entrance of the village comes into view. Removing his hood, he murmurs that he only hopes they will find a good hunter among the locals. As the Duke and his knights make their way into the village, Rain spots them from a distance. The old man, standing nearby, gives her a subtle wink, a silent reminder of the deal they struck. The gesture irritates her to no end. Sam, observing the exchange, frowns in confusion, wondering what on earth is going on. Rain crosses her arms, muttering that she is utterly sick of all this. Sam retorts that she is not the only one exhausted by the madness. He's just as fed up. Trying to divert the conversation, Rain asks if he has heard anything about the nobleman rumored to be coming. She's heard whispers that the man intends to research monsters. Sam confirms it. It's true. A very high noble from the capital is coming to oversee the completion of the long-delayed monster encyclopedia. And the man in question is none other than Lucas himself, investigating ways to destroy monsters once and for all. Rain's thoughts stumble. Lucas? So it really is him. She stares at the approaching procession, unimpressed. Whoever this person is, he certainly has ugly hair. And, she thinks dryly, if he's come all the way to the western border for monster research, it's practically a signed request for death. She doesn't remember exactly who he is. A nobleman who went to the border under the Crown Prince's orders and died there. She's fairly certain he appeared in the original movie, but the details escape her now. She decides there's no point in dwelling on it. After all, no matter how good-looking he might be, he could never hope to match the beauty of Lucas. But the instant her eyes fall upon the Duke, all her thoughts scatter. She is utterly captivated, caught in that single moment of awe. Sam calls out to her, his voice full of amazement as he stares at the same man. He cannot believe what he's seeing. Never in his life has he seen anyone so handsome. He calls for her again, but Ray remains frozen, her mind blank, her body stilled, as though paralyzed by beauty itself. The Duke is breathtaking, and Sam's thoughts echo that sentiment. He silently swears that the man is damn good-looking. The Duke and his knights stand on the podium before the crowd, commanding attention with an effortless presence. Ray, still unable to look away, idly thinks that perhaps they should change their uniforms, though even plain clothes could hardly diminish their dignity. The Duke, from where he stands, seems to sense her gaze. His eyes flicker briefly toward her direction, calm and piercing, as the knight beside him steps forward and calls for silence. The knight introduces himself as James, the leader of the Knights of Winter. His voice carries across the square as he explains that, as some may have already heard, they are recruiting guides to join them for a demanding research mission on the western border. A hand will be held for those who wish to apply, and only after testing their skills will they decide who is fit to accompany them. Those hunters who successfully join the Knights will be rewarded with 500 gold for their efforts. A murmur spreads through the gathered crowd. 500 gold is a fortune to them. Yet when they realize it's for 5 years of grueling labor, excitement dims into uneasy calculation. Ray sighs, recognizing that it is, in truth, a bargain when one considers the living allowance and provisions that come with it. Still, she can't help but wonder why they feel the need to test everyone's abilities. They could easily accept all applicants and use them as shields if they so desired. The knight continues, instructing that all who wish to participate should give their names to the attendants. Instantly, the square erupts into chaos. Men rush forward, shoving and shouting, fighting to have their names written first. The sight of desperation spreads like wildfire through the crowd. Sam, caught up in the moment, turns toward Ray and urges her to add her name as well. He's certain that if she does, she'll be chosen without question. Ray, however, remains deep in thought. If they were offering only 500 gold, she would not have even considered it. But the Duke, that man who returned after 3 long years, she cannot let this chance slip by. And yet, above all else, she knows the truth. Going to the border is as good as signing a death sentence. The probability of survival is terrifyingly slim. Sam stares at her, baffled, unable to understand her hesitation. To him, she is the strongest among them all, so what could she possibly be worried about? But Ray's unease runs deeper than strength. She isn't afraid for herself. Not exactly. When Sam looks at her with that bewildered expression, she can feel the unspoken question hanging between them, as if he suspects her fear has something to do with him. She herself doesn't know what to do. Her thoughts twist restlessly, her heart unsettled. Around her, voices rise and fall in curious whispers as the people begin to discuss the one question that now lingers in everyone's mind, the name of the Duke. One of the men in the crowd mutters that the Duke's name is Winter. The instant Ray hears it, her entire body freezes. Without thinking, she grabs the man by the collar, her voice trembling as she demands to know if he just called that Duke Winter. The startled man flinches and tells her to let go before she breaks his arm, but Ray's grip only tightens until he stammers out an answer, confirming that yes, the Duke's full name is Winterlock. Sam rushes toward her in alarm, shouting her name, asking if she has completely lost her mind, and what on earth is wrong with her. The man she's holding tries to appeal to Sam, insisting that she must be crazy, but Ray doesn't hear them. The world around her feels distant, as if muffled by a heavy fog. Her mind races, her pulse hammering. Winterlock. That name. It is unmistakable. The family name of the heroine, the woman who became the object of the Crown Prince Lucas's twisted obsession. So that's it. This man, this Duke, he must be him. Josh's biological brother. One of the men, the heroine, Ophelia, loved. The one Lucas killed out of jealousy, James. The brother of the heroine. The man who adored his sister dearly, who Lucas, thinking he was interfering with her courtship, sent away on a fabricated mission to compile a book of demons. He died young, lost to a brutal battle against a demon on the frontier. Yes, he dies. The very man standing before her now, the one she finally found after 3 long years, will one day die just as the story dictates. A cold tremor runs through her. Is this how it's meant to happen again? She clenches her fists until her knuckles pale and grits her teeth, a quiet resolve hardening within her. She will not let it end that way. She steps forward and declares that she will enroll her name as well. The poor old man beside her cries out in despair, begging her to stop. But the decision has already been made. The rules of the hunt are announced. Each hunter will enter the forest freely, and the winner will be determined by whoever brings back the greatest number of different kinds of beast meat before nightfall. Only the prey one personally slays will count toward the total. With that, the hunt begins. The Duke, James Winterlock, stands watching, silent and contemplative. His gaze lingers on the place where Ray disappeared into the trees. A faint crease forms between his brows as he wonders about her. Who is she? Why does she stand out among the rest? There's something different about her. Even the others seem oddly conscious of her presence. A woman like that, volunteering to join a demon hunt alongside rough ex-soldiers and mercenaries, is almost impossible to believe. Yet he says nothing, choosing instead to wait and see what the results will bring. Meanwhile, back in the forest, the hunt unfolds in chaos. Shouts echo through the woods as men compete savagely for their prey. Word spreads among them. The reward is 500 gold after all. Sam returns later, panting, carrying the horns of a third-rank beast. The chief's son, standing beside the knights, praises Sam for his skill, remarking that his prey came from a common demon-type creature, not easy to slay, and that Sam's in a good position. The knight in charge orders his men to record it. That makes a total of 5 different appendages, he notes, the most of any contestant so far. The chief's son laughs, saying Sam should be chosen as the guide for sure. Just as the knights nod in agreement, a voice cuts through the murmuring crowd. Rain appears, stepping forward with steady determination. "Move," she says sharply, forcing her way through. She drops a massive bundle before them with a heavy thud. The sight of it leaves everyone stunned into silence. A heap of trophies, more than anyone could have expected. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Some whisper in disbelief, wondering if she had truly been serious about joining the expedition after all. Of course she had. Ray looks up, her expression unwavering. Opportunities like this, to change fate, to alter the course of the story itself, do not come often. She cannot let it slip away. Her eyes lift to meet the Duke's across the clearing. For a brief moment, their gazes lock. The Duke feels something unfamiliar stir within him, a strange, uneasy sensation he can't quite name. There is something in her eyes, something fierce and unwavering, that makes him frown. Whatever it is, it doesn't feel good. He feels like prey in the presence of a beast. He cannot tell what in the world she is thinking, but in truth, she is thinking nothing at all. The chief steps forward and calls out to the Duke, introducing the beauty, or rather the hunter, who has just walked in. Her name is Rain, and as he can see, she is quite skilled. She knows more about the nature of demons in this village than anyone else. James studies her, and thinks that she certainly seems capable. He asks how many appendages she brought back. The knight answers that there are 5 different kinds, the same number as Sam. If they are only going to pick one guide, it should naturally be the one who came earlier. Josh agrees, declaring that it is only fair. Rain can hardly believe it. Sam got 5 as well? Sam, smug as ever, remarks that for 500 gold, he will take his chances. She grits her teeth at this clueless little fool, furious that he might actually be chosen over her. Their conversation breaks off when a strange sound echoes behind them. Everyone turns to look, and there it is. A monster has appeared. It is a large demon, its presence swallowing the air around them. James immediately orders everyone to clear the area, but then he sees Rain standing firm, calm, and confident before the creature. He shouts at her, demanding to know what she's doing, but she doesn't respond. To her, this is actually perfect timing. If she can take down this one, she'll secure first place without question. This monster, this creature, is a rank 2 demon. Rain narrows her eyes, scanning its body for the gemstone that marks its weak point, but she can't see it. It must be buried somewhere deeper. Without hesitation, she leaps down and runs straight toward it, jumping onto its massive form before striking with her axe. But just as her blade comes down, she realizes too late that the demon's body secretes an acidic solution. Her weapon hisses, the metal beginning to corrode. Annoyance flashes through her. This fight will not be easy. The other hunters murmur anxiously, suggesting that they should help her, but others argue that they'll only get in the way. While they hesitate, the Duke observes quietly. To him, she appears to be just a regular hunter, nothing more. Yet despite himself, he cannot stand by. He calls for his knight to aid the demon hunter. One of the men urges him to wait and watch, pointing out that the demon seems to be preparing another attack. It thrusts its spear-like limb forward, this time directly toward Rain. She glances toward the Duke and instantly understands that if she dodges, the flower girl standing behind her will be doomed. There's no choice. She cannot evade. Instead, Rain grips her axe, channels every ounce of strength she has left, and hurls it straight at the monster. The blade flies through the air and buries itself deep in the demon's forehead. For a moment, the entire field goes still. Everyone stares, stunned, as the weapon quivers where it struck. She thinks she might just be the winner. Without hesitation, she asks the others to lend her a knife. One of them starts to step forward, asking if he should go with her, but she shakes her head. She wants the knife, not the man. Sam, almost in tears, tosses his knife toward her. Catching it mid-air, Rain charges once more at the monster. With a single, decisive strike, she brings the blade down and cleaves through the demon. The creature collapses instantly, defeated. A triumphant smirk crosses her face as she declares that, fortunately, the sun has not yet set, meaning she has officially won. The other hunters murmur among themselves, acknowledging her victory. After all, it was Rain who emerged as the champion. Considering the kind of beast she's been hunting, it's no surprise. There was even a rank 1 among them. Someone wonders aloud where she's gone. Another replies that she has been summoned to the Duke's Inn. Her prize was worth 500 cores, so she must be feeling cautious. They exchange glances, half amused, half begrudging. They admit that she can be insufferable. An arrogant brat, really, but she saved their skins more than once. They owe her more than they care to admit. They figure she might feel a little empty after all this excitement, but knowing her, she'll be fine. Still, there's a strange tension among them. They claim to be worried about Rain, but deep down, that isn't the truth. What they're really worried about is the Duke, because he is about to meet her for the very first time. At the Duke's Inn, Rain stands before the door, her pulse quickening. She raises her hand and knocks. Soon, she thinks, she'll finally see him up close, her new favorite. Outside the inn, a knight sits quietly, gazing at Rain's axe. She had entrusted it to him before going inside, warning him to take good care of it, because sometimes the weapon moves on its own. Another knight approaches, noticing the odd expression on his face. He asks what's wrong and why he looks so unsettled. The first knight miller sighs and says that if the other isn't too busy, could he please swap shifts with him tonight. The second knight blinks in confusion, saying he doesn't mind, but wants to know what's going on and where the hunter is. Miller answers that she's inside, meeting with the Duke. At that very moment, Rain opens the door, eager to catch her first glimpse of him. But instead of the Duke, the only person she sees is James. Her face twists in pure annoyance. James, noticing the expression, asks what that look is for. She had clearly expected to see Josh, but instead, this plain, unremarkable man stands before her. Her disappointment is impossible to hide. James, however, is no fool. He recognizes the wild, dangerous gleam in her eyes the moment she walked in. It's obvious that her thoughts about the Duke are anything but proper, and so he resolves to keep her as far away from his grace as possible. James explains that he has called Rain merely to inform her about the mission she will be undertaking. Her task, he tells her, is simple. She is to join the knights, guide them to the locations she believes the monsters might be targeting, and then stay back while the knights handle the actual fighting. Hearing this, Rain bursts out in disbelief. What does he mean by that? Aren't they supposed to fight together as a team? James clarifies in his usual calm tone that this order only applies to those directly commanded by the Duke himself. The knights were instructed that while they are free to choose their own guides, they are forbidden to endanger anyone not officially part of the mission. As always, the Duke remains a man unwavering in his sense of duty and honor. Rain lets out a long sigh, muttering to herself that, so, he's that type of man. Serious, proper, and painfully noble. She finds it strange. Even with all the Crown Prince's schemes, the Duke and the other noblemen are still part of the same nation. The entire situation feels off to her. But then she remembers. This event, she realizes, is merely part of the story's opening sequence, something that was written as a necessary turning point in the novel. For the plot to progress, the Duke has to die. That was how the author had designed it. The thought makes her uneasy. She decides, right then and there, that she won't let the story follow its original path. She declares that she will protect the Duke no matter what happens. James stares at her in utter confusion, trying to make sense of her words. Protect the Duke? What is she even talking about? Rain waves off his concern, assuring him that there's no need to worry. Not a single hair on the Duke's head will be harmed, though the others, she notes dryly, can go ahead and get themselves tangled in the mess of the original plot if they wish. Josh, standing nearby, looks even more bewildered. He has no idea what she's talking about, and her strange determination unsettles him. He recalls hearing from the chief's son that her name is Rain, and he silently wonders if she might be more trouble than help. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a knight approaches Lucas, the crown prince. The knight bows and greets him, reporting that he has returned earlier than expected. Lucas, his sharp eyes scanning the man, assumes that he must have some useful information. The knight confirms it. He explains that the Duke has recently hired a demon hunter from a village near the forest to assist with their mission. Lucas raises an eyebrow, recalling that the Duke had previously mentioned some troubling incidents. It seems the Duke was genuinely concerned about what had happened, yet determined to proceed regardless. The knight nods, explaining that despite his earlier worries, the Duke's mind is firmly made up. He believes the help of a guide is essential to complete his work safely. Lucas leans back slightly, a faint smirk tugging at his lips. A very responsible Duke indeed. He had been anxious to see the man safely off, and now, hearing this report, he feels a sense of relief that things are going smoothly. The knight continues, mentioning that by their current pace, they should reach the border in about 3 days. Lucas hums thoughtfully at the information, remarking that he supposes there is no longer any need for him to continue sending reports to the Duke. He admits that his inquiries were only out of concern for the Duke's safety, but to interfere further might become a burden to him. The knight quickly assures him that it is no burden at all, adding that the Duke fully understands and appreciates Lucas's concern. Lucas nods, visibly pleased by this response. He thanks the knight for his service, dismissing him with a calm, confident air, his thoughts already drifting toward the quiet, dangerous forest where fate is beginning to stir. The knight bows deeply, offering a final blessing that Lord Lucas remains in good health. When the knight departs, Lucas's expression darkens, his eyes narrowing with fury. His lips curl into a bitter sneer. All this talk of praying for the Emperor's recovery, he finds it utterly ridiculous. From the shadows, a strange, cloaked figure emerges, its presence faint and unsettling. The figure speaks softly, suggesting that wishing the Emperor well is nothing more than an act of loyalty, a performance expected of the people. Lucas scoffs. To him, it's meaningless. The old man will die soon enough, and it's because of him that Lucas is forced to wait here in this suffocating palace. All he needs now is to get his hands on Ophelia. Of course, to do that, the Duke must die first. The figure chuckles, its tone dripping with disdain. It remarks that the Duke is a fool. If he had only handed over his sister, he could have saved himself. Lucas's jaw tightens. He says coldly that even if the Duke had surrendered her, he would have taken the man's head anyway. Mercy has no place in his mind. Changing the subject, Lucas demands to know about the situation at the border. The figure answers that it is near the area where the grave will be constructed. They are preparing for it already. The monsters there have grown far more ferocious than expected. Even the faintest trace of human sense sends them into a frenzy. Still, the figure assures him that he need not worry. The beasts will remain contained for now. A cruel smile creeps across his face. He cannot wait to comfort his dear Ophelia once her protector is gone. The next morning, Rain prepares for departure. She packs a change of clothes and some money, ready to move on. As she adjusts her bag, something slips out and falls to the ground. She bends down to pick it up. It's a letter. The paper looks old, fragile, and the handwriting isn't hers. It must have belonged to the original owner of this body. She doesn't know what it's for, but she decides that, someday, she'll find out. For now, it isn't important. With everything ready, she heads outside, only to stop short. Before her stands a long table filled with gifts, neatly arranged. Confused, she turns to Sam. He grins and tells her that these are farewell gifts from the villagers. Rain blinks in disbelief. She had thought they all disliked her. Yet here they are, leaving presents and wishes behind. Sam chuckles, recalling how he once saw an old man on the road, an old fool who nearly got eaten by a demon. Apparently, she had saved him without a second thought. Word spread, and soon everyone wanted to thank her. She listens quietly as he speaks. The villagers' gratitude feels strange to her, distant, yet warm. Maybe they don't fully understand what kind of person she is, but even so, they mean it. Still, she reminds herself not to grow too attached. She might leave tomorrow, and if she does, it'll be easier if her heart isn't tied down. But as she looks at the people around her, their smiles, their kindness, she realizes something. The choices she made merely to survive have changed lives, including her own. Rain nods slightly and steps forward. She hugs Sam tightly, murmuring her thanks, to him, to everyone, and promises that she'll stay safe. She will see them again, she says. Sam, already bracing himself for an emotional farewell, expects tears and perhaps another hug, but Rain simply steps back, gives a casual wave, and says only, "Bye, Sam." He stands there, momentarily stunned. No hot tears, no dramatic goodbye, just that simple word, leaving him blinking after her in disbelief. She sighs, telling them not to fuss. She'll be back soon enough. She warns them not to give her a hard time when she returns. Yet some can't help but wonder if they'll truly see her again. He assures them that she will be back soon, though deep down, he knows that everyone is thinking the same thing, that she might not return for a long while. Rain sits quietly, taking in Sam's words. It's exactly the sort of thing Sam would say. She wonders if he realizes that she's leaving for the Duke. Still, there's nothing she can do about it. Not with James around. He carries himself like a manager, just like the last one, and he's really annoying, but she can't help but wonder what the two of them are discussing while the night stretches on. Eventually, the knights make a stop. Rain gets off her horse and watches as they gather wood for a campfire. With supplies like this, they can rest for a full day before continuing the ride. She glances back at the knights, noticing their reluctance as they move about. There's a chill in their behavior, a quiet hostility that seems unnecessary for what was just a bluff. Whatever the reason, she decides she doesn't need to get to know them any better. A knight approaches, calling her a kid. Rain corrects him, saying that she's actually 20 years old. The man only laughs, saying he was impressed with her last time and wants to ask her something about it. Before she can even respond, a flood of questions pours from his mouth, one after another without pause. Rain blinks in disbelief, wondering what on earth is going on. She starts responding to each question in turn, her patience thinning as she realizes he has no intention of stopping. He keeps talking about monsters. Sanam, who's a bad shot with a crossbow, but still managed to strike right at the center of a monster's forehead. How its hide is so thick, a knife couldn't even leave a scratch, and a dozen other things that just keep coming. His chatter doesn't end with one creature. He seems determined to list them all. Though friendly, his constant talking grates on her nerves. Minutes drag by, and she finds herself wishing for rescue. Finally, James appears. To Rain, he looks like a savior descending from heaven. She lets out an exasperated breath and demands to know why he's so late. If he was going to call her, he should have done it sooner. James only replies that she seemed to be having a good time, so he didn't want to interrupt. Rain glares at him, questioning why he's even calling her now when he's been acting like he'll never speak to her again. James admits that he was planning to stay silent, but the Duke has requested her presence for dinner. Rain freezes. Dinner with the Duke? She can hardly believe it. James finds it strange as well. He confesses that he has never met anyone quite like her. The way she talks, the things she says, it's all so unusual. There's no real reason for a guide to be in the Duke's presence, and yet, here they are. Still, they must proceed carefully. Josh has warned that he needs to be mindful of what he says, for beneath it all, there's only one person who can truly help them. James knows that what the Duke says is true. Someone informs the Duke that there is a clearing a short distance ahead, one that appears to be free from any demonic presence. They can make camp there for the night. The Duke gives a curt nod, approving the plan, and adds calmly that dinner tonight will be with the demon hunters. James, visibly surprised, questions the Duke's decision. Why would he choose to dine with them? The Duke, however, responds with composed certainty. He explains that they will likely need the hunters' help quite often throughout this mission, and it is only polite to establish goodwill now rather than later. With that, James has nothing left to argue. Still, inwardly, he can't help but grimace at the thought. Surely that Hunter doesn't even know the first thing about proper table manners. He's absolutely certain of it. Later that evening, Rain sits at the table, quietly eating her meal. She appears utterly bored. While both the Duke and James observe her in stunned silence, the Duke finally speaks, asking if she has ever been taught table manners. To their surprise, she replies that yes, she has. James, half curious and half skeptical, presses further. Where did she learn them? It's not common, after all, for a hunter to be versed in noble etiquette. Rain answers casually, saying that she didn't learn it from any novel or manual but from Baron himself. She once had the honor of dining with him, she explains. It had been so long since she'd last eaten a proper meal. Perhaps this is the first truly refined meal she has had since arriving here. She admits that she trained herself to eat properly because, in her view, if something is pleasing to the eye, then it must also be pleasing to the mouth. James sighs inwardly, convinced that she must be thinking something impure again. The Duke then changes the subject, his tone turning practical. There will be no chance to recruit more guides once they reach the border, he explains. Instead, he would appreciate it if Rain could share what she knows about the spell with the knight responsible for carrying the record book. Rain nods, saying that shouldn't be too difficult. However, she adds that she wouldn't mind joining the knights for a hunt as well. The Duke recalls a piece of advice he once received. When working with demon hunters, it's best to hire them on a case-by-case basis. If contracted for too long, they tend to grow lazy and lose their edge. Rain's mannerisms, her half-serious dramatization of disinterest, seem to fit that warning perfectly. Even so, the Duke finds her intriguing. Beneath her irreverence, there is skill and understanding. He realizes he has chosen a capable hunter, one who knows her worth. He understands what drives her attitude, though he also knows it's not as simple as it seems. Because of that, she cannot be allowed to get too deeply involved in what lies ahead. She declares with fierce determination that if he is involved, then she is even more so. Keeping the Duke from dying has become her greatest purpose in life. Her words leave both men utterly stunned. He stares at her in disbelief, while she continues with unwavering conviction that she will protect the Duke from the demons, even if it costs her life. Joel James, taken aback, raises his voice in protest. The very idea sounds absurd to him. He has been the one protecting the Duke all this time, the knight who has served the House of Winterlock for generations. How could she, a mere outsider, claim such a thing? He demands to know when she has even seen enough of the Duke to make such a declaration. His words carry the weight of pride and duty, as though his years of service have granted him exclusive right to that role. But she does not back down. With equal fire, she throws his words right back at him, asking if he has ever fought one of their beasts, if he even understands the sheer difficulty of hunting a single demon. Her eyes blaze with defiance, and the two of them begin to argue so fiercely that the atmosphere in the room turns almost electric. Their bickering grows louder, each refusing to yield ground, while the Duke sits there in growing exasperation. He finally intervenes, his voice calm yet edged with authority. His body, he reminds them, belongs to himself. He does not need their protection, nor does he appreciate them turning his well-being into a battlefield for pride. Rain, however, finds him utterly adorable even in anger. His serious expression only makes him seem more endearing. Strangely enough, James shares the same thought, though he would never admit it aloud. The Duke, clearly done with the squabble, urges them both to finish their meal and retire for the evening. This, however, only seems to make James secretly delighted, perhaps because the Duke had noticed the argument at all. Yet when the Duke calmly orders him to leave as well, both Rain and James depart, still bickering lightly on their way out. Left alone, the Duke releases a long, quiet sigh. He murmurs to himself that it feels as though a storm has passed through. His